East want out with 1 month to go before the season. Micah Parsons requesting out of Dallas, Terry McLaurin requesting out of D.C. Both want big new contracts that their respective teams have not given them, at least not yet. Let's get a former GM and VP in here to get his take. Ran Carthon is joining us here on CBS Sports HQ. Ran, I want you to take us inside front offices right now for the Commanders and the Cowboys. I know you can't pretend to be Jerry Jones, but what's going on right now when you have these critical components of your team who are demanding a trade?
Well, it's something that that Ryan Wilson and I talked about today on our podcast with the first pick. Jerry's the consummate businessman, and he's the guy that's basically invented the business of football. So I'd say if you were speaking from the Cowboys side, this is just business as usual. These things drag out over there and at the Star, and it takes time. And if you're on the other side, if you're in Washington at the Commanders, and me having worked with Adam Peters, I know Adam is trying to get this deal done, and he's doing everything in his power to get a guy like Terry McLaurin done, because the truth of the matter is this guy's the consummate pro, and he's been a consistent guy for you throughout this the tumultuous times that the Washington Commanders have gone through. So I'm pretty sure they want to get this done.
Rand, what are the chances that either one of these guys get traded?
Zero. I don't see it happening. I'll be honest with you. This was something I was thinking about earlier. Now in today's game, the trade request as well as the social media scrub, this is all a part of these guys' negotiation tactics at this point. So both of these guys are in camp. And to me, if a guy truly doesn't want to be there anymore, then they're not going to show up. They'll take the fine and deal with it. But both of these guys are in camp. They're around their teammates. I don't think they really want to go anywhere.
All right, well, let's have a little fun. Maybe somebody offers something you just can't refuse. We'll play a little Who Says No. Ran is going to be the one saying no, I think. But Ryan Wilson is going to put together some trade proposals that make sense, at least to him or maybe on paper. Ryan is going to join us with 3 different trade scenarios for Micah Parsons, who has asked to be traded from the Dallas Cowboys. Where are you sending him in your first proposal, Ryan?
Hey, Hassel, good to see you. Good to see you again, Rand. Yeah, this is quite the setup. Rand has made it clear that these trades aren't happening, so I'm the sacrificial lamb, producer Boney. Let's do this thing. First up, the Detroit Lions. Answer the phone, Rand. Tell me what you think. 2 first-round picks in 26 and 27, a second-round pick in 27, and a third-round pick in 26, all for Micah Parsons. They need some depth help in Detroit. Aiden Hutchinson's looked fantastic back from that injury, but they've had a ton of injuries both along the edge and in the interior defensive line. Who's going to stop Micah and Aiden, and would you do it?
I admit, this looks good. This looks good. 2 ones in 26 and 27. However, Detroit, if they get Micah Parsons, add him to that defense with that offense that has played well, and these guys have gone pretty far in the playoffs these last couple years, that first-round pick is in the 20s. So I would say no.
So
got to sweeten it a little bit.
It would be really interesting to see him with Hutchinson. And I see what Ryan's doing here with his 3 different proposals. They're all to teams that are ready to win right now. But this next team isn't exactly teaming him up and making some kind of dream tag team on the defensive line. It's trying to get this team over the hump, and it's the Baltimore Ravens, Ryan.
Yep, that's right, Hassel. And so, look, one NFC team in Detroit, maybe that's a stretch. Let's go to the AFC side of things here. The Baltimore Ravens, they do need some edge rush help. They drafted Mike Green. Odafe Oweh is in the last year of his rookie deal. They have David Ojabo, who they drafted in the second round, but he had that injury coming out of college. So 2 first-round picks ran, a second-round pick, and Odafe Oweh, who was an insane athlete from Penn State, but not quite the insane athlete of Micah Parsons. What do you think?
That's a little easier no. Just because, I mean, like you said, Baltimore is an aging team, and they're just looking to get over the hump. But even if we took the 2 ones and the 2, and we took Odafe Oweh, we'll be right back down this road trying to negotiate and get another Penn State guy's deal done, which will probably take until this time next year. So it'll be a no for me here as well.
What would you need? What would need to be added to this specific trade? 2 more first-rounders? Would that do it for you?
I mean, 2 more first rounders, then yeah, I would trust our ability to draft and find the next Micah Parsons. But like I said, for me, I mean, I love good movies, and like my man Vito Corleone say, you got to make me an offer I can't refuse.
Well, he's got one more offer for you, and it's from the Kansas City Chiefs. And as wild as it is, some trade packages have included Chris Jones here. Ryan, what do you think?
Yeah, so look, we're giving you a player back, obviously a little bit older than 25-year-old Micah Parsons, but we have a 2026 first-rounder from the Chiefs. Again, that'll probably be a low pick. A 2027 first-rounder, probably a low pick. But you also get Chris Jones, who's going to come in right away and solidify the middle of that defense. And you just, fingers crossed, hope Donovan Ezeraku is as better than advertised as their second-round pick as an edge rusher out of BC.
Yeah, now this one is a little intriguing just because of the nature of Chris Jones, because you think about his age, and that is what it is. Father Time's undefeated in this league, and in life, we all know that. However, Chris Jones is a good locker room guy, so you have to consider it there. But like you talked about, we're looking at the 2026 pick alone is going to be in the late 20s, and it'll be hard for us to find and stockpile a player. So another reason for me to say no, and for me to tell the Cowboys fans and those people in the front office, get this deal done, get Micah Parsons his money, get him back in camp, and let's just roll.
All right, no from Rand for the proposed Micah Parsons deals as Micah holds out for a new deal and demands to be traded, but Rand basically says this is a negotiating tactic, and more often than not, it ends up working out in a long-term deal. We are closing in on a month now from our first NFL Sunday on CBS and Paramount Plus. Well, there's another big name holding out in the NFC East. It's Terry McLaurin, and Ryan Wilson is going to come to the table with a couple more trade proposals for sending McLaurin elsewhere. Well, Terry McLaurin and the Commanders still at an impasse with the season a month away. He wants to be paid like a top 5 wide receiver, but the team doesn't want to pay him that kind of money. So he recently requested a trade. At camp yesterday, our Evan Washburn was there, not speaking with McLaurin, but speaking with the man who would be throwing him some footballs in Jaden Daniels.
I know one day 17 will be running out here, and hopefully soon, but I can't control what he has going on with his business or, the front office, stuff like that. I got to go out there and try to be the best version of myself each and every day, and just hope one day it all gets resolved, and 17's back out here catching passes.
All right, so let's play a little Who Says No to proposed Terry McLaurin trades. Ryan Wilson is going to give us a trade. Rand Carthon is going to tell us whether or not he would say yes to that trade. Ryan, the Steelers have made a bunch of trades this offseason for DK Metcalf. Then they traded away George Pickens at that wide receiver position. Give us your Steelers trade proposal for McLaurin.
Yeah, glad to be back, Chris. I spent the break trying to figure out a way to get Rand to say yes to something. So maybe my Steelers will be happy to help out. George Pickens is gone. No clear-cut number 2 has stepped up. They drafted Roman Wilson last year out of Michigan. He had an injury, didn't play much at all as a rookie. This year it's been up and down in training camp. So here's what we're doing, Rand. Getting a number 2 wide receiver for the Steelers, a 2026 second-round pick, a 26 fourth-rounder, and we'll give you Roman Wilson, Washington. You'll feel great about that. And this is what I would say. Noah Brown is wide receiver 2.5 right now. They do have Deebo Samuel, but there's not a lot of depth behind him either in Washington. So you get a young player who has an opportunity to prove himself. Certainly you love this.
Well, first and foremost, let me say 2 things before I answer this. One, in one of the clips that we showed leading into this, I noticed that they had Buddy Baker, which is Terry McLaurin's agent, was in one of those. So that's a positive sign that he was actually there at one of the training camps. So I'm pretty sure those talks are going along. But just in terms of this deal, this would be a deal that I would do, and even just with the picks, the second and the fourth, because I do think the right value for for Terry McLaurin in a trade right now would probably be a third-round pick. But to be able to get a second-round pick and a fourth-round pick off of it is something that you would want to do.
Okay, so that's a yes. And Ryan, it sounds like you can just go ahead and keep Roman Wilson as well. As we move to your next proposal here, I don't know, maybe you want to adjust it, considering Rand only thinks he's worth a third-round pick. What's your next proposal here for Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, let's go to New York and the New York Football Jets. And this is a second-round pick, 2026 second-round pick. You would imagine it would be a little bit higher than that Steelers second-round pick because the Jets probably aren't quite as far along. They have questions with the quarterback position. We'll all find out together. But I also threw in Breece Hall. And the counter for that, if you're Adam Peters, Rand, could be, well, we got a pretty deep running back room in Washington. Maybe we don't need him, and you know, you can keep him, or maybe you bring him along and then have to give him a new deal at some point soon, and perhaps trade some of those other assets in the running back room. So Terry McLaurin certainly helped Garrett Wilson and Justin Fields because there is no clear-cut wide receiver two in New York. 2026 second rounder, Breece Hall. What do you think?
I think I'm just being nice to you right now because I would do this deal just based off the simple fact. Again, we get a second round pick that you feel is going to be, you know, pretty high, but then you get a young explosive back in Breece Hall to pair with the guys that they already have. And if you know Kingsbury's offense is just being able those guys to just get downhill, hit it and get it as they spread it out. So this would be a good deal and one to get done.
What if this did not include a second-round pick and it was just Breece Hall for Terry McLaurin?
I'd say no, just because of the simple fact of Breece Hall is a guy you hadn't had in your building, and Terry McLaurin is such a glue guy and such a foundational piece for, you know, all the inconsistencies they've had in that organization, and he's just been a steady person, and you won't want to put all that on just a single player, so I would say no if it was just Breece Hall.
Okay, so that was interesting. You had three Micah Parsons trades. Rand said no to all three of those. You had two Terry McLaurin trades. He said yes to both of those, but as we may have heard 15 minutes ago, Rand says 0% chance either one of those guys are getting traded.